think he's talking to you.
And here we go, guys. We are live here on Phoenix 92.5 FM on Twitch, Periscope, and YouTube. Not on Mixer, because Mixer's cancelled. Cancel culture has hit Mixnod, and Mixer's just Mixer.
What did Mixer do?
Mixer did everything. No, what happened to Mixer was it annoyed Microsoft and got bought by Facebook. So we haven't set that up yet, but Mixer is no more. We had a Mixer account for 2 weeks, and then it went away. So that's why we're not on Mixer, guys. So if you are listening to us on YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, thank you very much. Or of course here on Phoenix 92.5 FM and NerdToKnowMedia.com. It's only 3 of us, guys. The 3 Avengers are back.
Yeah.
That hasn't been
Hello.
Show 70 as well, so we're nearly at 100. It's crazy.
70 episodes young.
Exactly. Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that we this crazy road would have gone on this long? But sure.
Yeah, I mean, you start with wrestling and then just like talk about things that aren't wrestling, and here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
that's our secret to success.
Everything still comes back to wrestling because everything is indeed wrestling.
Yeah.
So that's
and if it doesn't go to wrestling, it's because we went to Star Wars.
Exactly.
So.
And that's where we're going to start the show this week. Because we have some Star Wars news for the first time.
I suppose it is a classic episode because it is the 3 of us. So of course we're going to talk about Star Wars, aren't we?
Exactly. We are. Of course we are.
Yeah.
Because this week, I wasn't expecting to have like the best news ever, and it's that we're going to have a cockpit-based Star Wars game, Star Wars Squadrons. So,
Rogue Squadron was my jam back when I was a kid. I am both incredibly excited and terrified of this.
No, this is more like if you play TIE Fighter and X-Wing.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
simulation based, so you're actually flying a TIE Fighter and an X-Wing, not like a battle simulation as such.
Did you see the survey that came out for this game?
No.
There was a survey done to see how, like, to poll how many, like, who play for the Rebel Alliance and who wants to play for the Empire.
Is it all the Empire?
I mean, landslide for the Empire. I think it was like
that's because the Empire
3 to 1.
That's because the Empire were right. It's like, we saw what happened. It collapsed. It's like the Empire brought peace and justice to the galaxy.
The Empire did nothing wrong.
No, nothing wrong.
It murdered all the Jedi.
Hold on, the Jedi were going there anyway because they were corrupt.
And they were religious fanatics.
Exactly.
You couldn't have them be in power. It's just a bad idea.
As opposed to the religious fanatic who's in charge of the Empire.
Nobody knew that.
You can't prove that. That's just that.
Yeah, you can't prove that.
That's just the propaganda you've consumed from the rebels. Of course, you'd say that.
Oh no, but even taking that out, right? So just say that was true. Hold on. We're getting some feedback there. Even taking that out there, right? And everything was all well and good. We saw what happened to the New Republic. In canon, remember, in this horrible Disney canon, it failed. And it ended up with something far worse. So it's just like, they didn't get rid of slavery, still there. They didn't
get rid of weapons profiteering either.
It just doubled. The only thing they got rid of was a government that worked, and it's something that kept people safe. So it's just like, of course you're gonna fight for the Empire.
Like, the Empire brought law to Tatooine.
Exactly.
You cannot argue against this.
The Hudson check.
Yeah.
So it's like, seriously.
No, he didn't. He has a pet Rancor and a big Sarlacc thing that he regularly feeds his guests to under the Empire's rule.
I said kept them in check. I didn't say they totally nerfed them.
But also, it's worth noting, Cian, we know this from episode 1. Jabba the Hutt lived in Mos Espa. He doesn't live there anymore, does he?
Fair point.
I'm sorry, but Empire, as far as I'm concerned, did nothing wrong.
No.
Okay, I take your points on board, but as someone who unlocked the TIE Interceptor in Rogue Squadron, no matter how much you want to play in that TIE Fighter, you're going to have to put up with the noise.
I love the TIE Fighter.
Constantly.
I love the TIE Fighter.
Really?
The only thing that...
How much?
Oh, a lot. The only bad thing...
All the time?
Yeah. The only bad thing about the TIE Fighters is their design. Like, they're not designed to take a pounding. So if you get clipped, that's kind of it. But that's what all the secret TIE Fighters are for.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. Like,
Yeah, what about is it TIE Interceptor? Which one is Thrawn's one? The TIE Defender?
I think he has an interceptor because he's a officer, so he has a special interceptor. The same with the Imperial Guard.
Yeah. I'll go with Thrawn's TIE Interceptor. It can rotate and change direction on the spot. Like, its midsection pivots when the wings change with it. Like, it's brilliant.
Here's one for you, though, right? And I was kind of looking into this. The reason why the TIE technology is so flimsy as such is because the people who made it realized that if they build it to break, they're going to make more money. So it's a profiteering idea. Like, the biggest problem in Star Wars isn't religious fanatics; it's profiteering, and no one ever got rid of that. So it's just like, all right.
But I suppose that the engineer who made it has been in business for decades. Like the same guy who built the TIE fighters also built Darth Maul's ship that he traveled to Tatooine in.
Yep.
What's that called? The Sith Infiltrator?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Both of them were built by the same guy.
Wow.
Like designed by the same guy. So like
if I follow your logic then, Bryn, does that mean that like there's a Bank of Westeros style organization in the Star Wars universe that no one has dealt with yet?
But this is something this is touched upon in episode 8, and it's also touched on a little bit in Solo. So absolutely.
Oh yeah, and in the Clone Wars there was that bank that worked for both the clones and the droids. I forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly. So this is entirely canon.
You know, the thing about it is, like, a lot of the propaganda we get is heavily skewed upon the rebel side, where it's like, they're fighting this oppressive system. It's like, not really.
Yeah.
They just introduced their own oppressive system, which is, that's not any better. Like, to be honest with you, the most free society in Star Wars was probably the Old Republic, but anything after that, not really. They just introduced failing democracy. So.
Well, again, like if the Empire is so bad, then how come it was a good thing that they stopped the Trade Federation from having a blockade on Naboo? It just
is what it is.
That was something that had to happen. No one can disagree with that.
No.
Yeah, but that's a bigger question of like authoritarian rule versus the freedom to let some people be jerks.
You just spend too much time listening to those rebel scum. That's all that's happened here.
Okay, listen. The rebels had to be dealt with, and that's just the way it was. So,
I'll send you some literature after we're done here.
Just NerdToKnowMedia, we are firmly in the camp of the Empire. It's just the way that it is.
Yeah. They did nothing wrong.
I may be missing from next week's podcast due to a lightning explosion.
I didn't say we're Sith. It's just Imperials.
No one forced you to get struck by lightning.
No, okay, but some other good news from that. So obviously, I'm really excited for that because I can't wait. Like, I love flying TIE fighters, and even flying X-wing is quite fun. And it's great. So that's coming out in October. The pre-order bonus looks pretty good. We'll have to see, if it actually plays. Apparently, there's no paid DLC. It's all, your $60 is your $60. So we'll have to see if that's BS or not, because it is made by EA. So.
Is this the third apology for Battlefront, the newer ones? I know they fixed up Battlefront 2, but like, what's the angle here? Like,
yeah, that's my first worry as well. Like, this explains why they're kind of killing off Battlefront 2, because obviously this is the next big game, right? So it kind of makes sense. But we'll have to see. Another bit of Star Wars news that happened this week was Doomcock came out and said that they might be wiping the Star Wars movies from canon.
The last trilogy.
The 7, 8, and 9.
7, 8, and 9. So according to his video and some of the leaks, there is like a civil war going on at the moment in Disney or in Lucasfilm, where there's a faction that really want to get rid of it and a faction that don't want to get rid of it. And how they're going to do it is something we've joked about on the show. So,
oh my God! Have you emailed them?
Please tell me it's the Dallas scene. Please tell me it's the Dallas scene. I just need that Dallas scene. Damn it!
It's something kind of better than that. It's the Veil of Divorce. Have you guys seen this in Rebels?
Yes.
Oh yeah, they go into the sort of nowhere zone where time doesn't exist. That kind of thing.
Yeah. So basically, it's multiverse kind of thing, where they're going to use that to kind of retroactively undo everything that they did.
That's funny because I was expecting Star Wars 9 to be an Avengers Endgame clone. I guess it was just like one step out from it.
Yeah, well, now they kind of have to because they have nowhere to go, and the series is basically dead unless they do this. So
Mm.
it's kind of like, Captain Kennedy's, well, we don't want to be one of those shows that go off onto it, but this definitely does seem something that.
Oh, we don't.
No, we don't.
We're 70 episodes in, man. I don't think we're going back.
No, but what I mean is like the the leaks from Doomcock is usually right.
Mm.
Like they're usually pretty on the money, and I would believe this. So based on what they're planning, it wouldn't surprise me. The only thing I have to say is how are they going to do this? Like, would this be a movie? Would this be a mini series? Would this just be an issue of like a papal bull from Lucasfilm going, "This is canon now"? Like, how do you guys think they'd even do that?
Ray just opens up her mouth on screen and just goes, "I have to go now. My planet needs me."
I have to go now. My parents need me.
Well, I suppose they could do it on Disney Plus. They could release a series, like a 90-minute series or something, where they're like, "Hey, this is tying
That'd be
stuff
cool.
up," but I don't know. Like,
If I had to guess, I'd say they'd retroactively remove them in a way that people on Disney Plus could see it, and people who went to the cinemas didn't know about it and didn't care. I can't see them putting that bad voodoo whatever up on the cinema. Put it that way, like.
Yeah, like I think whatever way they're going to do it, they're going to open it up in such a way that it makes sense, but not something that goes, "Hey, all these stuff, it isn't canon. It never happened." I don't think it would happen in a movie form, but definitely in Disney Plus, they're like, "Hey, we can open this up again." Or here, even still, if they did an Avenger Endgame rewrite, we've already seen that work, and it was like the biggest movie of all time. So, it's
the one thing.
possible.
The one thing I definitely think they should not do it in is another Fortnite special.
Oh yeah, don't.
Oh no, I think that's brilliant. Do it there.
Yeah,
it worked so well the first time.
Yeah, because everyone knows that everyone loves that.
Yeah,
that worked out so well, having key plot points for a film not be in the film.
Like, I tried to play Fortnite before, and I only got past the load. I only got to the load screen.
You couldn't get to the lobby.
No, I got to the lobby, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. Help me!
My kids in Tala are still wondering what's going wrong. They've been trying so hard to explain to you how to get through the menu. I was like, did he push the button?
If you ever, like, you're basically like a stage removed from getting that content ID in South Park, where it's like, how do you tame a horse in Minecraft? It's like, how do you log into Fortnite? I have no idea.
It's not me. It's the kids who are wrong. It's the kids who are out of touch.
Of course, Darren, that's what it is.
It always is the children who are wrong, not me.
Yes, Mr. O'Connor. Everything stinks.
Everything stinks. But yeah, so
can I just ask though? I know you guys don't necessarily, but you've been watching this Mandalorian making of thing they've been releasing for the past few weeks.
I have not.
Neither have I. I have been busy catching up on Rebels. So,
ooh, that's a much better show. But anyway, well, I mean, then the making of the Mandalorian, like, but no, I really wish you guys had, because I have incredibly complicated feelings towards it. On the one hand, it's nice to see them making it with practical effects and stuff, but there's these long 10-minute, like, round the table conversations with the directors where they all kind of speak wistfully about how lucky they are to be here, and, like, what a nice atmosphere it was on set, and, like, it kind of, I think Red Letter Media said it kind of feels like a political ad. There's something deeply unsettling about the way it's presented. It feels like an ad for a show I've already seen.
So it doesn't come across like the 18-hour making of documentary that Peter Jackson made for Lord of the Rings.
No, it's not like that. Like, I mean, obviously, like in like the Hobbit documentaries, like they're just honest about how tough it was. It's the comparison is like, if you ever seen the New Hope, not a New Hope, a Phantom Menace making of, where George Lucas looks really sad.
Oh yeah,
and he's like, if I say cut and they don't stop, could you just say cut, please? Like that kind of thing. It's like the other extreme. It's like, I mean, it is what it is. It's like an ad with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and all that kind of stuff. And there's a few good anecdotes in there and stuff. But like, there's a lot of like
a miniseries, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not even that it doesn't make a miniseries. It's just there's a slight artificiality in a documentary series,
on
and at
Disney
that point,
Plus?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
well, that's why.
But
Like
it's
it's
yeah.
like everything on Disney Plus, content wise, that is new is going through that Disney filter. So they're hardly going to come on and go, "Oh, this guy was a doucher. Here's why."
No, but like to compare, like on the Doctor Who DVDs, like they just let David Tennant have a camera and he filmed all the stuff that went well and didn't. You can still have a tiny bit of realism. It's just
but not through the Disney lens. Remember,
well, then why even make a documentary? Why make
content?
Why take a format that exists specifically to explore truth and not have it like what? My head is exploding.
But Cian, you have to remember, this is Disney. Yeah. They need to be seen to being a good place to work.
Exactly.
They need to be seen.
That's it. Yeah, and I'm not saying that bad stuff happened on The Mandalorian that we don't know about. Like, I mean, it's Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and like Bryce Dallas Howard and all the others. They seem really cool and all that. Like, I'm sure it was grand. I just don't know why they need to go the extra mile to make it look like the best filmmaking experience since, I don't know, we'll say Lord of the Rings, I guess.
Yeah, but again, like even with like Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings has almost no time to talk about the negatives of working on it, even though they were basically in crunch for 18 months.
That's true. Yeah.
Like,
the actors survived on a diet of eggs for 18 months.
Yeah, like at one point, like I mean, they basically like had that was basically a production where everyone's very positive about it because they just saw it as a really fun experience because most of the actors in that basically went, "Oh, it was great. We went camping in amazing scenery." And and then you also had set designers going, "Oh, it was great. I built a castle. Oh, it was great. It was great. I made incredible clothes. It was great. Do you know how many swords I made?" Like, and that's kind of like, but that's like how they talked about it. They don't really, they didn't have time to talk about negatives in it, but you never got the impression from it that like it wasn't like a stress-free environment either, unless it was the one production guy who basically talked in monotone and would go, "This was an incredibly challenging scene to make, and we got through it." And like anytime he comes up, it's just like, "Okay, can you get someone who speaks normally, please?"
That's the thing about making of. So for even director's commentary, it's either going to be very good or very bland.
Yeah. And I love commentary, and
so do I. But it's not an exact science.
No,
and it really does depend on the people. But all you're saying about with David Tennant, like David Tennant is David Tennant. Jon Favreau doesn't really strike me as someone who is gonna, talk.
No, and I don't mean to imply that I want it to be guerrilla style. Your man who plays the Mandalorian running around with his iPhone, like literally filming the walls. All I'm saying is like what. Content, I get it, but what is the value of putting so much sheen onto a making of to the point that you're not even watching a making of anymore?
It's a
because
product.
It's Disney.
It's a Disney product. Get excited for my next product.
Yeah, it's Disney.
Yeah,
it's like
it's shocking the Mandalorian exists. Period.
Yeah, that I mean, I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer, but we're not going to get another Mandalorian. That was like a lightning in a bottle situation, I suspect.
I don't know. The second season looks pretty good. They have like the casting's pretty decent, but as I'm saying to you, if this civil war in Disney doesn't work itself out, like they know that they're on a losing trajectory. So, it has to be. The only thing supporting Disney right now is the Mandalorian. So,
but that's just it. But the reason the Mandalorian was able to exist,
not Disney. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I get you. But like the reason the Mandalorian exists is because no one was particularly looking for it. Once they start trying to replicate the Mandalorian model, then it's kind of just
it's gonna be like when Tommy Wiseau tried to make movies after The Room.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy. Yeah,
where you go like, "Oh, this isn't special anymore."
Yeah. Well, like, I don't know, if they just stick to telling stories, they'll be fine. Instead of just trying to please everybody, because if you try to please everybody, you're just going to alienate people, and that's kind of like the main problem with Disney Star Wars.
This is the media company that sanitized the Grimm's fairy tales, and you want them to not do that for other stories.
It's a fair point. Like, here's the thing, with your man who made Jurassic World, if they had just made his Star Wars Episode 9, it would have been awesome. But it was way
Oh
too
no,
extreme.
I think it would have been bad, but it would have been a more interesting bad.
Oh well, I don't know. It looked. I would have enjoyed it a lot more than what we got, which was just.
Oh, me too. I think if they just bit the bullet and gone with Trevorrow's one and went, these are 3 Star Wars movies. We didn't have a plan for them. They're each their own mad thing that some director decided to take with it. You'd be like, fine.
But you know
that's
what, right?
honest.
On
it's
that
flawed,
point,
but I like it. But yeah.
But on that point, that actually sets up the kind of cleansing completely well, because it's like these are just Elseworld stories. This is a different timeline. So it's like I would be prepared to accept that and be like, yeah, you know what? That's okay, because it's not real. I know none of it's real anyway, but you know what I mean.
It's not canon.
It's not canon, right? It's like, okay, it's fine. And then just kind of slowly recanonize some of the stuff, and that way, if you recanonize a lot of what's already there, you can just be like, pick and choose and make these movies.
Yeah, like Thrawn is back and all that kind of stuff. They're creeping stuff back in,
like.
He is. He's out there. Oh no, I won't spoil it. But he's in the universe, like.
Yeah, he is in the universe, but he's in the wrong timeline. He's in the right, it's a bit too early, like. So, I appreciate what they did, and I think
the voice actor for Thrawn and Rebels is perfect.
Rebels,
like Lars Mikkelsen. Have you ever seen him act in person? Like,
no.
Oh, he's in Sherlock. He's in one of those Lenny Abramson films.
Who was he in Sherlock?
He was. Do you remember Series 3? The guy with the glasses who owned all the media companies.
Oh yeah. Oh,
that's
cool.
they compared him to a shark. Yeah. He's in that. He's not like an English native speaker, so he's like had to learn it to play all these roles, as far as I know. But like his big breakthrough thing was in the original Killing in the first series, and he's brilliant in that too. Like,
his voice is phenomenal for Thrawn. Like, it's exactly how I imagined the voice would sound. So, yeah, top notch.
Yeah. Oh, The Witcher. He's in The Witcher as well on Netflix.
Speaking of The Witcher, there's a good announcement made today. Well, a bad announcement made, but a good announcement if you like some free stuff. Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed to November, which sucks. But if you pre-order it on GOG, you can get a bunch of Witcher stuff for free.
Oh, sweet.
So that's
how many times has because I was actually, just for nostalgia, I went back to the first episode I was on, and it was the announcement of Cyberpunk. So I don't know how many episodes I've done, but my entire media career has been the lifespan of waiting for Cyberpunk.
It should be out now. It should have been out in April.
It should have
been April. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah, it should have been out. It should have been out mid-April, and then it got pushed back to mid-September.
Yeah.
And now it's pushed back to November.
Yeah, because like they announced the Final Fantasy VII remake at the same expo.
They did, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah. I know that one was a long, long time coming, but still, like.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'm okay with I think the best time to do it would have been in April, because the whole lockdown thing, and people would have like really liked that. But since they missed that window, they might as well just kind of finish it, because if they don't finish it, it's going to be no finished game, and what's the point?
That's true, and I'd much rather they took their time, made a good game, and didn't put their staff under pressure. If it's worth waiting for something good. Like
I'm getting to a point now where the idea of putting someone through crunch so I can be entertained is just not something I can morally accept.
Yeah.
So,
and more often than not, games that have been put through crunch aren't entertaining. Because
you say that, but like you've definitely played games that went through crunch. Like, I mean, like people, like I have never met anyone who didn't like Grim Fandango, but that game absolutely had crunch.
Yeah, well, look, the thing about crunch is just part of the industry, but I think
it's part of entertainment in general.
Yeah, it is. It's just the kind of, so you can't really give out about it too much. But what I would say is the needless use of it as just everything is just unneeded. And with a project like this, where they're a small studio, well, not really, but you know what I mean, like a small studio where they can kind of take the time. And look, we're gonna wait for it, so I'm happy enough waiting for a finished game, a game where they don't have to work 7 days a week and all that kind of stuff. So I welcome it.
Yeah, more power to it. I hope it's really successful so that they can promote that behavior going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, like compared to what I don't know. I know you're a big Jim Sterling fan, Keane, and Bryn as well. Like, but with the stuff that happened with The Last of Us 2, all that horrible.
Should we talk about this on the air? I don't actually know what happened behind the scenes.
I haven't played it, so I'm not going to play it. So that's my bias straight forward. I have no desire. Like I've read the leaks, I've seen the leaks, and this game just doesn't appeal to me. It seems like a game made in spite. So I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not doing that. So
I'll get around to playing it at some point. It's just I have no ambition to play a game set in a world where an infectious disease has destroyed the planet.
That's also true.
Right now, I have no.
We are already living that. That's like,
I don't know. Like, I mean, you did the little segment with Keith Byrne for the YouTube channel today, Dara. On that episode, he talked about that he's really enjoying playing zombie games because it's slightly more stressful than his actual life, and then his actual life becomes more relaxing. So maybe there's that cathartic release, like you watch a sad film and you need to cry, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, look, the thing about The Last of Us, like, it was a great game. It's one of those top tier games that everyone should play. This game, apparently, it's not like Spec Ops, where we talked about last week, where it takes you on that journey. This tries to do that, apparently, but with characters who you love, and then just backfires. So it's like, like I've heard that. I've heard it being compared to Schindler's List, and I'm like, you know what? One, that's probably not apt, and two, I don't want to play Schindler's List the game. That doesn't sound like a fun time. Thanks.
I have heard it described as being a misery simulator, which is exactly what Schindler's List would be as a game.
Yeah, it's like, no, man, don't need that.
Well,
sorry.
Games can be sad without being like aggressively unpleasant. Like I finished playing Beyond Two Souls recently, and I really enjoyed that because of the intrigue, because of like the cast, because of like figuring it out.
And that's
that's a very sad game. Like,
but that's a David Cage game. It's not like a mean game. It just takes you on a journey.
Yeah,
there's a difference between this has sad themes and you're going to hate. Like apparently there's a bit where you kill a dog, and then like in a graphic way, I'm like, you know what? No, I don't want to kill a dog. I love my dog.
Yeah.
So no.
Could you imagine if the game like somehow found out what breed your dog was in the real world?
Here's the truth of it. I remember reading Game of Thrones, 2012 before I saw the show. Still haven't really seen the full show yet. But when Ghost was there, I had a border collie puppy, and all I could think about was nothing better happened to that pup because I won't be able to handle it. So no thanks.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
like it's just one of those things where I think, like I was saying, I've been saying this to a bunch of my friends, that like the concept of what The Last of Us 2 is exactly what I'm not looking for in a game right now.
Yes,
like if someone said, "Oh, do you want to play this like gritty, realistic game where you're going to experience someone going through some shit, or do you want to see a game, or do you want to play a game where it's completely off the wall and unrealistic?" I go, I'm going to take the second option every time.
Yeah.
That's
it. Like at the moment I'm playing, that's why Cyberpunk would have been great now, because it is that.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm really into Deus Ex again. Like I've put like nearly 40 hours into that game. And I replayed it again. It's because it is that exact thing, Bryn, where you're like, it's completely unrealistic. It's based in the future. And you feel in control of all these different cool augmentations and like that. It's not set in the real world during society breakdown. It's not fun.
Yeah, I started playing Fallout New Vegas again, and that's the same kind of thing for me, because whatever's going on in my life, as soon as I put on that radio station with the Night King broadcasting why you should join them, I just get in a good mood. Like,
I think that's what we need. A game like that is not something that is needed now. And even if it was similar to the first one, We don't need that because we can go outside and walk around, and it feels like you're living in a post-apocalyptic world. So no thanks.
Like I
Naughty Dog,
remember,
go back and make Crash Bandicoot.
I remember a couple of years ago, I was at a con that what's your man's name who plays Joel, the voice actor, Troy Baker. He was talking about what kind of what voices he loves doing for people and what voices he won't do at all. And like he's going like, yeah, doing the Joker or doing like one of the other litany of characters that he's done in his career. He has no problem doing them, like Claptrap and from Borderlands. He has no problem doing them. He said, like you said, Cast Iron, though, it's like if you ask me to do Joel, I'm not going to do it because the emotional state I have to get myself into where I can do Joel is not something I want to casually visit. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
And you know what? Like, there's something about that where I went, I'll play Last of Us once or twice more because I want to show it to my girlfriend. Because I think there is something really, really good quality to it in terms of the acting there. But it's not a game that I really like. It's not like playing Shadow of the Colossus, which I love.
Yeah.
But like it's not like it's not a great gaming experience that I want to go back to all that much.
Yeah.
So
look.
Well,
this
is
sense.
Sorry, you go first, Dar. Sorry.
I was just gonna say it. It makes sense. Like I think there is the case of games as art, and that's fair. But in this case, it's like we also play games to be entertained and as some form of escapism. And I think